Alright guys, here's the final sheath for my paramilitary. I have it on a small tech lock right now. One nice thing about having sheath making material is that you can always modify an existing sheath. When I actually first did up this sheath, I actually only had holes for a large tech lock. As you can see here. And then, I decided that this was way too bulky to be on my belt, especially where I was wearing the knife. I was keeping the knife at the 3 o'clock position instead of a 4 or 5 like I would with a fixed blade. So this kind of dug into my side a little more. And I decided to go with a smaller tech lock. You can actually see the size difference in between the two. But yeah, because, since I had my own drill with drill bit and I had rivets and rivet dies, I was able to just drill and rivet in a new hole. As you can see here, like I said, I molded the sheath with the clip. The nice thing is now I can fit the knife into the sheath either with or without the clip on. Right now I actually have it off, just because without the clip, it's a lot more comfortable to hold on to the knife because that clip doesn't really dig into your palm. And the retention on this thing is really, really tight. Even without the clip, it's, it takes some effort to get in and out. I've actually worn it down a little, and there are actually, some scratches on the inside from the G10 of the knife wearing it away. The thing about this kind of retention is that if I try and pull the knife out slowly and put it back slowly, it takes a lot of effort just to, kind of get past the static friction of the sheath. But if I just try and pop it off really quickly, it overcomes that relatively easy, and the knife just comes in and out relatively simple. I think the next sheath I'm going to do it for a folder. I'm going to actually have a taco sandwich this way over the top of the knife. It's kind of more traditional. A lot of the folding knife sheaths I've seen people make, they have it where, the rivet holes are up on top. And what that does is, since the sides can open up, it makes it so that it doesn't really retain the knife as much, since the two halves of the sheath can open up. In this case, since the rivets are binding it there, it actually only opens up very slightly, which gives it insane retention. One thing I didn't like about this is that because this knife is so wide and I can only do the rivets on the side, it's really offset from on my belt. You can see here that the tech lock is basically completely next to the handle. It's not even over the handle, which kind of worked out because since I did it a simple fold over like this, having the larger tech lock, it was actually kind of like flexing into it because that tech lock would actually go up to where the handle is. With the small tech lock, it's not as big of a problem, but when this is on the belt and I try and pull up, it does kind of like cant backwards and forwards when I pull the knife out and push the knife back into the sheath. I think next time I do the sheath, I'll do one style that's, tacoing up on the top of the knife, but I think I'll also do one with a flat back. And the nice thing about the flat back is that, since you don't have this extra material and the back is completely flat, I could do any kind of retention method on it, and, I won't have any problems with this actually like bending or flexing because the tech lock is actually getting in the way of the knife. I've never done one with just one side. I'll have to really see how it goes. I assume that I have to be really careful with the retention because I definitely want the edges of the sheath to be able to open up so the knife can come in and out relatively easy. But, overall I'm pretty happy with the finish. It's not the most even finish, I suppose you could say, but it's good enough for a homemade sheath. It's not something I'm selling or anything. And I do kind of wish that I had left more material here. As you can see, I kind of rounded it off here at this edge. I kind of wish I left this flat because that would have meant that I could have put another rivet over here, and then it would have left this point right where the spider hole would be to be open instead of riveted, and I could loosen up the retention a little. The way it is now, I suppose I could take out this rivet if I knew that I was never going to put it on a large tech lock again. But, for now I'll leave it on. It works out quite well. It's definitely a lot nicer to have my folding knife on my belt for two reasons. One is that, I've carried fixed blades on my belt, but usually you're kind of limited to the sides. Either you'll have a very small handle or you'll have a small blade or a combination of both. You can't really get the same blade length and the same handle size with a fixed blade in this small of a package, obviously because the blade doesn't fold into handle. And so, the smallest knife I would really carry fixed blade wise on my belt would be the Azula, and at that point I just carry horizontal instead of vertically. I have carried larger ones, but it's not really something that's good for EDC, I suppose, in that, you know, when I pull a large fixed blade out, it does kind of freak people out. I mean, even pulling a smaller fixed blade out, even to something the size of an Azula, which a lot of people consider a neck knife, that does kind of freak people out. Just, I guess I'm kind of in a more sheeple society than others. So the fixed blade is, I mean, the folder in the sheath is nice because it keeps it out of my pocket, and that allows me to keep other things in my pocket. With some pants, it's not a big deal, but, you know, it depends on how the pockets are cut. Sometimes the seam of the pocket can be really tight up against the rest of it, and it's hard to get to my wallet if I have such a large folding knife clipped to the pocket. The paramilitary is not bad because it's pretty thin, but something like the Griptilian is much thicker, and it does get in the way. So I might actually make a Griptilian sheath, a sheath for my Griptilian, keep on the belt. Anyway, I also ordered some 0.06 inch thick Kydex from Knife Kits. I was doing an order for some other things, so I figured I might as well throw in a sheet to try out. I only have the number 8 size rivets, which are 1/4 inch, you know, these rivets, and they suggest the smaller rivets for 0.06, and the 1/4 inch rivets, number 8s, are suggested for the 0.08 inch Kydex, which is what this is. But I've actually done these number 8 rivets on just one thickness of 0.08 inch Kydex, so I figure if I fold over a 0.06, it should work out relatively well. I will have to hammer a little more, obviously, because these rivets aren't really meant to flare down as much, but it works out. I definitely think that my next sheath I'm going to try with the thinner Kydex, just to try and get better definition and also for less retention, you know, especially since the material's thinner, there's a lot less Kydex for it to have to flex in order to get the knife in and out. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. You know, someone actually commented on my last video on this knife about suggestions for a sheath, and you know, that's great. Like, that's one great thing about YouTube, is being able to communicate with each other and give each other ideas. But I mean, for me, you know, I'll definitely take those ideas into consideration. But part of the fun of this is actually experimenting. You know, obviously I want to have an end result, and in this case I do have a sheath. It doesn't work 100%, but it's a learning process for me that, yeah, I guess I could learn from other people, but this is also part of the fun. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.